everyone, Dylan here, and welcome to the channel. I don't know what all these sound effects are and why. Okay, you know what? Normal start. Anyway, welcome to the Backlash 99 review. This was supposed to be up last week, but due to chaos in the world outside of this lovely little channel, I had to inadvertently prolong it, I guess is what I'm saying. Oh well, que sera. Let's get into it, right? Right. So this lovely little pay-per-view is in the cusps? I don't know. It's in the Attitude Era, and that means we get the best, like, intro, the then, now, forever intro they do now. So they had one back then, and this is, like, the second best intro ever, right behind the version of this just sped up. It's the one where you just hear, like, this little upbeat song, and then it just shows the WW letter that comes after E scratch logo. Oh, it's so cool. If you didn't have nostalgia for this, then you wouldn't understand what the big hype is about it. After that, we get a hype trailer for the match that's the main event of this little pay-per-view between Austin and The Rock. During that hype trailer, actually, I don't know what happens during that hype trailer. I was going to give you like a prelude, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I watched like at least 3 different timelines in this 1 year alone, so I can't really tell you what's happening. All I can tell you is something is happening. After that, we get the announcer guy saying, a WW letter that comes after E presents Backlash. And he's like that deep-voiced one. I'd do it, but like I don't have energy today. After that, we get the Pyro coming up, and man, I miss Pyro. Even though pay-per-views have it, I just, nothing will hit as hard as Pyro in the 90s. I guess where laws were like a lot looser about how much Pyro you can and cannot have in a place, and probably a lot less people accidentally caught on fire. Anyway, I don't know where the cynical attitude comes from. I apologize, but let's get into it. Like alluded to, we are in the cusp of the Attitude Era. This event specifically is at the Civic Center. Don't ask me where that's located. I can't tell you. By the way, speaking of that Attitude Era Prime, we got King and JR on commentary tonight, so you know that it's gonna be a banger. During the intro to the pay-per-view and what we're gonna have tonight, they announced that Shane McMahon added the stipulation during Heat for Austin versus Rock, which is that their match is a no holds barred, but if Austin lays his hand on Shane McMahon, the referee for this match, he will lose his title. Just another screwy Louie. How will Austin ever overcome the odds? Listen, people give Cena shit all the time about being the guy that's like, how will he ever overcome the odds? But this is like the 50th, like, Stone Cold versus blank with special guest referee. It's a no DQ match, but if Stone Cold abides by the rules, then he'll actually get disqualified. How will he ever overcome these odds? Like, that type of mentality? Yeah, so I don't know how he didn't get that crap. Maybe just different, Attitude Era gets looked at differently. Maybe that's why. In case you needed that Heat explained, like always, I'll give you the little brief summarization. It's like Superstars or Mania if you go into the past. By the way, I review old episodes of Raw if that interests you. Or if you're talking about nowadays, it's like the Raw, what do they call it, Raw Smack or something like that. It's the post-show, only this time it was the pre-show, and then eventually it replaces itself with something else. Maybe way later on in the future when I'm caught up on things, like I kind of hinted at, I'll do it, maybe, but it's not on my list to like review Mania and Heat and Superstars and so on. But if I'm ever desperate for content, maybe. Also, typically during this time, Heat would be the show that if they needed to add more stipulations or draw in some last-second viewers for their pay-per-view, and or they needed to get like that large mid-card that they had some talent, or that large mid-card talent some work, then they would typically throw it on during Heat, and they would create some type of little story to go along with it. Which, to be fair, I think they did the same during Superstars too, but, just in case you didn't live it, there's a little synopsis. I think originally Heat maybe was just for the pay-per-view nights, but then it gradually turned into something like every Saturday or Sunday, or maybe both days or whatever. And then it became Velocity, and then Velocity was like on Thursdays maybe, or something like that. I could just be making up my own lore, by the way. I don't know. But let's get into the actual matches. First thing I heard in this pay-per-view is I kill Paul, but backwards. If you know, you know. And freaking I pop because that's right. We get the Brood come out. This is the OG Brood. Post-Ministry, pre-Edge and Christian leaving Gangrel. So they still got a little bit of a push. Nothing crazy, but just they still got a little bit of a push going on. Speaking of that Ministry, they're going against the Ministry B team of Midian and Bradshaw. Me personally, I'm super pumped for this match, but the crowd wasn't. It seemed like the only match the crowd really cared about was Austin versus Rock. Yeah, this match is a banger. They have a pretty good match overall. They kind of know what they're doing, shockingly. They had a banger of a match, which was kind of the theme for the Attitude Era. Even if you were a mid-card, you still like busted your ass, so the main event could be good. Edge was a good heater throughout the match. He took most of the damage for everything, and Midian did a good job at blocking him off from his corner. In true Attitude Era fashion, though, the match breaks down real fast, with everybody end up brawling outside until Viscera comes out during that time period where the ref is distracted. He crushes Christian against the apron, which looks like it for reals he hurt. And then Bradshaw, after he gets thrown back into the ring, Bradshaw gives him a clothesline from hell, and the Ministry wins. After that, they transition into talk about the main event, and they show The Rock arriving, and then we go to Hardcore Holly versus Al Snow and Head. Bob Holly won the Hardcore Championship, and then he changed the name to Hardcore Holly. That's all you really need to know. They're in the cusps of a feud. I really hate that word. They had a river match at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, which, side note by the way, that show was an In Your House match. And in case you don't know, this initial inception of Backlash is titled In Your House Backlash. I would have reviewed all the In Your House shows, but I barely had time for Backlash as it shows. So who knows? Again, maybe next year, maybe in the future I'll tackle those, but it'd be what it'd be. Back to the match. They do a good job of just beating the shit out of each other. Al Snow ends up getting his head busted open early on. I don't know. Probably one of those unprotected hair shots probably did it in for him. I don't know. Al introduces and sets up a table outside, but before that can come into play, they brawl backstage. Al Snow and Hardcore Holly jump into a dumpster. They end up going back into the parking lot. Hardcore Holly gets thrown off of a production truck onto a car backstage too. I'm just kind of giving you the highlights again. Watch this match if you want. I'd recommend it if you like hardcore chaotic matches. But yeah, they brawled back into the arena after that. Al Snow is going to pin him in the ring after a frying pan shot to the head, but he saw a table in the corner, so he lifts him back up, puts him on the top, and then if you know anything about the prophecy for the table, you set it up, you'll take a shot through it, or in this case, you'll take a big frying pan shot to the head that makes you end up going through it. But he still ended up kicking out at two, and I forget what move he does. I think he just hits him over the head with something, and then he pins him and ends up winning the title. See, I just finished watching the SmackDown, which this is Backlash, so that happened in May. Let's just say for continuity's sake, maybe that happened in May. Sounds right to me. So June, July, August. Not even 3 months later, the official first episode of SmackDown happened. That's crazy to think about. I'm that close on the timeline. And I'm still having to watch Al Snow with the Hardcore Championship go after somebody. After that, we see Stone Cold arrive to the arena. Then we get ready for a match where Godfather versus Goldust for the Intercontinental Championship. I think Godfather is the champion at this point. But honestly, I couldn't tell you because I didn't write it down. But before that happens, the Ministry is backstage. and they're begging Taker to forgive them. Taker forgives them for their stumbles, but they must get ready for the Howard Power and the tragedy that will issue place. We get to the match. Blue Meanie is with Goldust. Meanie cuts a promo saying that he's gonna do the grind, and I pop so big when he does the grind. Funniest spot of the whole night. After that, the Godfather comes out, and just a side note, he poses with the title, and I miss when titles had like 3 emblems on the side like this IC title did. I don't know why they got rid of it, maybe for like cost-cutting measures, but I miss that. Godfather says that he normally would offer his, lady friends to his opponents, but his lady friends don't want to be with Goldust, according to the Godfather. That apparently gets Goldust angry, and they have a big old brawl. Goldust tries to walk away from it all, but Blue Meanie reminds Mommy, that's what he called Goldust at this time, that he wants the gold, so he has to go back. They brawl until Goldust tries to use his powder in a bag in order to cheap shot the Godfather, but it ends up getting punched. I think it goes flying up in the air. Meanie gets involved, ends up getting punched in the corner. He gets shot in the air and Goldust gets blind. Meanie ends up getting involved. He ends up taking a Shattered Dream and a shot in the corner. He tries to break up the pin after that because Goldust gets like rolled up or knocked down or somehow. But he hits Goldust in his Dustins, and then he ends up taking a hoe train in the corner. Goldust after that ends up taking a suplex to lose, and then we get the Godfather covered in women's spot to end the match. After that, Michael Cole is backstage. He's in a public bathroom and interviewing Al Snow. Al Snow's on the ground acting all crazy and whatnot, and he gets congratulated on being the champion. Al Snow has head in his hand, and the whole bit is like he's getting an argument on who technically did the pin, because head was in the hand that ended up pinning the Godfather. So they get an argument about who's really the champion. Or sorry, not the Godfather. Fucking Hardcore Holly. I was thinking about the Godfather again. I don't know why. But yeah, they get an argument, and that's how we end it. After that, we get the New Age Outlaws, who in this timeline haven't broken up yet, unlike on my SmackDown reviews. But I guess they're getting ready to, so they're like teasing a break, I guess. Anyway, they're still over like Red Rover at this point, and they're going against Double J with Deborah and Owen Hart for the #1 tag team contendership, not even the titles. Before the match begins, I just want to say, like, knowing we are that much closer to Owen's tragic death being in the timeline makes me feel bad, because obviously nobody like is happy that it happened, but also like I just really don't want to talk about it ever, you know? In true Attitude Era fashion, Road Dogg asks Deborah to see the puppies, and she almost does until JJ ends up blocking her from doing such. They tease that Billy will try to flash her his ass in return, and when the ref stops him from flashing, Double J cheap shots the roadie, and that's how we start this match. It breaks down until Owen and Billy ends up actually starting the match. It was just a little brawl beforehand. They have a good match that the whole time it was run by King's commentary, where he's just drooling over Deborah. At the end of the match, so it has a cool spot. They attempt to do a sharpshooter and a figure 4 on the New Age Outlaws, but as Owen's putting in the sharpshooter, Billy Gunn reverses it by kicking his butt, and it kicks him outside. He ends up reversing the figure 4 and shoves Double J out. And then he ends up hitting Owen with a famouser for them to win. After the match, Billy ends up showing his ass, which gets a big pop, and Road Dogg break dances, and this is the weirdest group of fuckers to ever be thrown together, but also, like, respect. For some reason, this had ad breaks. I don't know if they just set that up network style, or if, like, the original airing came with ads or not, but after that, we come back to the tape, where Shane is being interviewed by Michael Cole, and he's asked how can he be impartial to the match due to the fact that he hates Austin, which Shane swears on his dead grandfather that if Austin gets The Rock's shoulders down, he'll count him the pinfall. I don't believe that for 1 second or one bit, but you know what? Maybe he's a man of his word. And then after that, he ends up saying that his dad is dead to him, and even though it's a storyline, that aged like fine wine. After that, we see Vince and Stephanie, where Vince is asked about Shane's comments. At this point, Shane has like majority control over the company, and Vince has stepped down. I think he lost it in a match, if I'm not mistaken, but I couldn't tell you 100% on that. But yeah, he's asked about the comments that Shane just said, and he just gives a retort about them. He doesn't add to anything. Commentary tries to wrap it up, and then we get the Big Show going to a boiler room brawl. That's right, he's having one with Mankind, who at this point was defeated in them. Will he stay defeated? Who knows? Well, undefeated, I should say. Jeez, today's a sloppy episode, eh? He goes into the room looking for Mankind, but he just can't find him. Off the bat, Mankind ends up jumping him from behind, and we just spend the next minutes seeing Big Show and Mankind just beat the shit out of each other with weapons. You can very much so hear Show talking to Mankind through the grunts, though. Either that or sometimes Mankind's like, again, yeah. Hold on, I can't reenact the like crazy Mankind. Hey, get like that, and then like halfway through the again, da. Like you'll hear it like that every now and then catch up on the mic. But the crowd was so loud, so you couldn't like perfectly hear it. Mankind ends up for shoot cutting his hand on a piece of glass that he shatters over the Big Show's hand, and it's like a bad cut, like it cuts an artery or something like that. He's pouring blood for the longest of time. He ends up crawling to the exit, Mankind does, and as he's crawling to that exit, he leaves behind bloody handprints, which was kind of cool. He wins. Then after he wins, Test and the Boss Man end up jumping Mankind. Big Show ends up rising from the pipes, and then he takes down Test. After that, he chases the Boss Man down. And then Mankind ends up pulling out Mr. Socko when he wakes back up, and he gives Test a mandible claw, and that's how we end it. I think this is the early tease for the Union being started, which was crazy. But I appreciate it. After that, China with Triple H in the backgrounds interviewed backstage about Triple H getting a match against X-Pac, his friend that I think literally on WrestleMania he betrayed, if I'm not mistaken. And then they say something. It's your generic promo. Then we see Big Show getting stitched up and getting his finger popped back into place. And then we see Mankind walking through kind of what they did. Kind of just to buy some time. After that, we get X-Pac versus Triple H, where friendly reminder, by the way, X-Pac is one half of the tag team champions with Kane. And not only that, but X-Pac had returned to the Federation in that big DX shoot promo that got him a lawsuit, not even last year. Triple H comes out and he doesn't have the corporation theme, but the theme that he has is like the one in between like My Time and the corporation, and he doesn't have that one corporation Titantron yet. I don't know, it looks a little sloppy. You can tell he's trying out everything he can like week by week. Also, Long Pants Triple H comes out this week, so I double appreciate that. What I don't appreciate, though, is the dusty finish for this match, because the ref ends up getting knocked out. China low blows and elbow drops X-Pac. Kane comes out, because this was after China had already betrayed Kane by pretending to love him and play with his emotions. He chokeslams Triple H, then chokeslams China, then sets up Triple H in the corner, and I think he sets up China in the corner too. X-Pac gets up and Bronco busters to both of them in separate corners. After doing it to China, he ends up eating a pedigree from Triple H, who has recovered, and that's how they end the match. By the way, during this time, Triple H was called Triple H Hunter Hearst Helmsley, which is weird and oddly formal. I'm glad they kind of dropped that. After that, we get Ken Shamrock versus The Undertaker, which Undertaker is in prime ministry, like attire, theme, everything. Also, I bet you metaphorical money that you did not remember this match happening, because I didn't either. This happened due to Ministry a couple weeks beforehand. They were trying to take Ryan Shamrock, his sister. I don't remember if for shootsies or if it was just in story. Match ends up ending with Bradshaw coming out, and thanks to the distraction, The Undertaker had enough time to recover and reverse a move. He reverses it into Tombstone Piledriver, and he wins. Bradshaw asks The Undertaker if he wants him to beat down Ken Shamrock. He asks it at the ramp, and The Undertaker says yes. Bradshaw goes in the ring, beats him down. He gives him a powerbomb, sloppy choke slam, and then can you imagine that? Sloppy choke slam from Bradshaw? No, he sloppily chokes him out with a baseball bat, and that's how we end things there for that. They then transition into the main event of Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock, where they show the build-up with the Smoking Skull title and everything you can think of when I say the word Rock, Austin, Smoking Skull title happened during this time. Like the bridge moment, the monster truck running over his limo, the mock funeral for Austin, the knockoff of that same bridge, the broken shovel over Austin's head. Honestly, if you can think of a moment, it happened during this build. Also, their match is no holds barred, as previously mentioned, where if Shane gets hit by Austin, then Stone Cold loses. Also, Vince will be here for this match, too. The Rock is supposed to be the bad guy, but you can tell the crowd loves him too much to boo him, so he's starting to slowly transition into a babyface. Shane tells the ring guy to put the belt back in his office once Austin gets to the ring. It's the Smoking Skull title, so he's trying to just take it from Austin just to screw him over that much more. Throughout the match, they beat each other up all over the arena. It ends up ending when Shane tries to help The Rock by trying to pull out his belt, but Vince comes out, and Austin just keeps on kicking out at everything that The Rock throws at him. Shane accidentally hits The Rock over the head instead of Austin with the title, and he only gives him a 2 count, and then flips off Austin and runs up the ramp. As he's running up the ramp, Vince McMahon comes out with that Smoking Skull belt. He gets a pop, and then he hits Shane with it. He sends Earl Hebner to the ring as the babyface referee, and after a couple sequences, Austin hits a stunner to win. Vince tosses the Smoking Skull belt back into the ring. Austin celebrates with both titles as JR sends us home. Or at least that's what you think, right? Because I think I talked about it. One of my favorite Attitude Era moments was semi-alluded to during either the unofficial or official pilot for SmackDown. And I just want to let you know, it happened during this show as it was ending. Because right after this, we go backstage where we see Stephanie get into a limo. Because she was in the limo the whole time, Vince was like, hey, if after I help Austin win this title, you and I are going to go home, so just wait here. But for some reason, somebody knocks on the top of the window to send it, or knocks on top of the limo and sends it off. Stephanie tries to tell the driver to wait for Vince, and literally as soon as I heard that, I said, no, are you kidding me? This is my moment. So for the first time ever, I get to see the actual moment where it happened, where you see the drop down between the coach's area and the back, and then you just see the Undertaker's long hair, you see his eyes in the mirror, and then you see him turn, give his little Undertaker turn. He goes back there, and he looks at her, he says, "Where to, Stephanie?" And I popped so hard because that is such a moment. I'll get into that in a second. But afterwards, she peeks the mic out. She screams as loud as possible for her dad. But her dad is staring down Austin because he can't see what's happening backstage just before the Titantron showed everything that was happening. So he just doesn't know anything's happening. Austin drinks a beer and cheers him. And that we send it home happy on that note. Could you imagine just being a viewer? This has happened to me a couple of times while watching wrestling back in the day. I don't think they do this trait too often anymore. But it's you have just watched something. You think you are at the peak of your happiness with it. Nothing can beat it. Like, nothing can beat your excitement to tune into that Monday Night Raw, hear that pop for Austin, the new champion, whatever. And then it transitions to that, and you're like, oh shit, Stephanie just got kidnapped. How can we recover from this? Like, what's going to go on? And that's what I miss about wrestling, when each episode had to be episodic, and each episode was like, hey, you can't miss out, or you're going to miss out, including the pay-per-views. But, it's okay. They got Saudi Blood money now, and they have the 2-night buy one, get one special main events. Who cares anymore? Speaking of who cares anymore, no, that's kind of a terrible way. I'm terrible at segues, whatever. What I'm trying to say is that there would have been a predictions for Backlash that's happening literally as I'm recording this for 2025. But honestly, I haven't kept up with the show in almost a month's time. So I'm just going to predict them as I give my reaction to them. I'll post that in tomorrow's episode, which will be up, and then sometime in the meantime I'll upload 2024's Backlash France 2, and then sometime in the meantime I'll upload the Elimination Chamber, so that way we can get everything back on timeline. Alright. I'll see you down the road is what I'm trying to get at. I'll see you tomorrow for Backlash, or maybe later on today, who knows. Anyway, bye!